Hi, this is J L Zaring with One Life Live, and as I mentioned a while ago, I am going to do videos on all sorts of things. So this video started with me thinking, you know what, I want something for the trail in case I get into really tight trails, meaning let's say the bushes are overgrowing or a down tree, whatever. The bottom line is you have to chop your way through the trail. And there's two choices. Literally, chop your way through the trail. And that can be quick if you have the right tool. And I'm not necessarily talking about an axe. An axe is great for, let's say, a big, thick piece of wood, okay? But what if it was just lots of little 1-inch branches, 2-inch branches, 3-inch branches? So you have two choices. Again, a hacker, like a machete or something like that, or a chainsaw. I have an electric chainsaw that I can tie or strap the inverter to the front of the winch. It holds it down. It plugs right into the worn winch socket, and I could run a 50-foot or 100-foot line to an electric chainsaw. But that takes time to set up, and that's also maybe for thicker things, like if you had a downed tree partially in the road or even completely in the road. So there's different choices. So I started thinking, well, this could be pretty fun to get a cool tool that is not only cool to use, but how about, let's switch hands, how about cool looking? Or, you know, when I was a kid, I always wanted like swords and machetes and katanas and all this stuff. Well, there are a lot of companies that make all that now for hacking and cutting brush and trees and wood. So then I started thinking, well, okay, what metals are out there? And I saw Damascus metal, and I was like, wow, that is totally cool. Now I'm talking about modern day Damascus, which is folding, a method of folding and forging, welding, whatever you call it, all the different layers of metals together. Another term for it can be pattern forging or welding, and billet forging or welding. As you can see, I'm not an expert. I'm just trying to go off memory from what I read. But this is modern day Damascus. Old school Damascus, for people that want to know, that ended around 1750, and that ran into someone in the 1970s skillfully perfecting the art of billet welding or billet forging, whatever cool word it is, which is what I just described, which are lots of little bands of metal just kind of tack welded together, stuck in the big hot iron thing, heated all up, mashed together, then cut and folded, and they just keep repeating the process to develop layers of basically two different steels. One steel of a carbon, high in carbon, let's say like a 1055 or something, and another steel, well, I can't really remember, but I think it has nickel in it, or higher nickel or something. So anyway, when you keep folding all the layers, it turns out to be a really cool layered looking blend of all the metals, and then they etch it, and the etching will separate the lines of the metals, and it's really cool. But you know, there's fake ones out there, there's sucky ones out there, or I should just say not very good quality ones out there. So where do you go from there? Starting off, a lot of them come from Pakistan. That's where they're cheaply made. Now you might get a good blade there. It's true. But I kept looking and looking, and I'm reading all these different things on Amazon and other websites and YouTube. And what I realized is a lot of people did not know what they were talking about, and other people definitely did. Some people would get a Damascus blade and kind of wipe it and it fades and they called it a fake. Or was it really not a fake? Well, I wanted to see. So I got some different blades. First off, before I forget, this will be a separate video, but a really cool cheap hacker is by Cold Steel Machete all-terrain chopper with sheath. 33 bucks on Amazon. It has a lot of customer reviews, almost 5 stars, and it's this thing right here. This thing rocks. I just cut through a eucalyptus branch. One end was about 3 inches, the other end about 4 inches, and I just hacked through it with this because I wanted it for the backyard to test some other stuff. This was the only thing I had at the moment. I didn't want to bother with the chainsaw. I just wanted to quickly hack it, and this thing worked. In a second, I'll look at the blade to see how it is. I didn't even check it yet. All I know is it went through about 3 minutes through 3.5 inches, and about 4 minutes through 4 inches, maybe even less than that. I wasn't counting the minutes, but only half strokes. I was on a main highway and I didn't want all these people seeing me with a huge machete with giant strokes. So I was just doing half strokes and it went right through. So that, if when I mentioned about looking for a cool like machete or something, that is a real quick go-to one. Kind of top heavy, but that helps with the chopping, but not that heavy at all. Maybe only 2.5 pounds, 3 tops, I'm guessing. A nice big handle. I'll take a look at it real quick before the video's over. In fact, so I don't forget, let's just do it now. And you know, I totally don't want to cut myself trying to get this out with holding the camera. I should have had a tripod, but let's look at this together. Sorry, Emma. Emma just ran out the dog door. Okay. There's no damage at all. It's just dirty. Again, no damage at all. Just dirty. Okay, this thing here worked. It's sort of like a big-headed axe. And it worked. Just down, just the slight angles, it chopped it right through a nice, wonderful V. I'm going to put this out of the way. This will be a different video to actually show the cutting, but I don't want it to fall on me while showing you some other things. Okay, again, that was called the Cold Steel all-terrain chopper with sheath, and I will put a link down below so you can see it. I usually do that for all the tools I talk to on my videos. Now, Damascus blades. Okay, here is one right here. Let me turn this light off, less shadow. No, that didn't really help. That's pretty cool. That is just a blank, a quick blank to show you. Here's another cool one. I should have already had this out. This is another one. These are by Posh Land, and I will put that in the title too. There is still the oil on this. I have not taken off the protective coating of the oil. Okay, I wanted to see if this was real or not. Some people were claiming they simply wipe it off and it seems to disappear. Okay, first, this is how it works. As I said, when all of the layers of metal are put together, everything is shiny still. And if you polished it, it's shiny and you can barely see the separation of all the layers and the two different metals used. Now, when you etch it in something ferric acid for 20 to 25 minutes, more or less, and then you could put it in something else to kind of, I don't know. I'm not an expert, so I just watched a video on it. But the bottom line is they etch it. Etching it sort of takes this acid and eats into the metals a little bit and kind of darkens it. And because there's two different metals, it reacts differently in two different ways. So one of the metals is eaten away more quickly with little pits and it gets kind of dark. The other metal stays shiny. I think that's the one with the higher nickel in it. But I could be wrong. I will correct myself with some little letters on the screen if I'm wrong. Now, I took this and I started wiping it just with those thick blue paper towels, and lo and behold, it was getting a little lighter, just like what I heard people say, like, oh my gosh, this is fake Damascus. It's like painted on there. The lines are painted on or etched on like by lasers or something, and I'm simply scraping it off. Okay, real quick, cut to the chase. That's not what it was. It was simply taking off some of the etching. That's all it was, some of the oil and some of the etching. And then if I shined it in the light, you can still see all the bands. And wow, this arm's getting tired because I told you I just hacked through massive eucalyptus limbs. Okay, so I took my Proxxon tool. This is like a Dremel tool on steroids. Really cool. With a buffer on it. Okay, see the buffer? I've used this in my gun barrels, just polishing them up beautifully. So I took this and I ground this into the blade, pretty tough, around 7,000 RPM, to really see, you know what, I want to see if I'm getting sold fake Damascus steel. And this was like removing the lines. Or was it? No, it wasn't. What it was doing, it was simply taking away some of the darker etching between the two metals. It was polishing it to the original state after everything was forged together. And that's how it originally comes. It's all forged together. You can barely see the lines separating them unless you kind of glint it in the light, if that's even a term or word. And I was simply taking it back to its original state. So I want to show you really quick. And again, this is by Posh Land, in case anyone was wondering if Posh Land had real Damascus blades or not. Okay. Let's look first. There you go. This is the regular blade right there. Probably getting better light here. I come down, and then you see where I buffed it there between the two holes. And I first thought, well, it's fake. No, it's not. You can see the layers of metal are still there. This is through the magnifying glass. Not sure how good this is working in the camera. This is through the magnifying glass. This is real Damascus. There's the layers on the side. Okay, real quick. I did the same thing with this. I buffed it at the bottom. You can't even really tell under the magnifying glass. Let me kind of show you here. I buffed it at the bottom. This is darker. This is polished. All the layers are still there. Magnifying glass, if this works or not. All the layers are still there even after it's polished. Turn it around, even right here. I thought I polished it away, put it under magnifying glass, glint it in the lights, and there are all the layers. Right towards here, the layers aren't as good, but it's still real. I polished it all here too. Coming towards the bottom where I polished it, all around here, or buffed it, whatever you want to say. Even the end, right here, I polished it and the layers are still there. Let's look under the... I don't know if you can see it with the light. The layers of the steel are there. Okay, now I know. The steel from Posh Land, tested on multiple blades, is real Damascus, modern day Damascus, meaning billet, folding, pattern welding, pattern forging, whatever words you want to use. All three of those I believe are the same. That's modern day Damascus, so from 1970s and on, and it's real. Now, just because this is real Damascus steel doesn't mean it's super strong or super powerful or super awesome or whatever. If it's done right, it could be very strong and very sharp. If it's done correctly and right. If it's done with too cheap metals, then it's going to be cheap, crappy. You can have delamination even of the layers of steel if that isn't even done correctly, meaning the forging of all the layers together. So yes, there are all types of quality. From looking at what I have received of the Posh Land, it is a medium to good quality, not excellent. And I say that for not bad or good really. I'm just saying that for the price, you're getting a medium to good grade, beautiful, workable knives. However, they might be coming from different vendors to Posh Land. I have no idea. I have not discovered that yet. Reading from different customer reviews, it's hit and miss sometimes. It looks more or less about a 75% good quality, 25% there could be little issues from what I see. I did return some just due to little rust spots and things like that, or quality control not quite there, but for the most part they were good for the money. An example is, let's see, this little dagger. I think that little dagger was on sale for 35 bucks, 33 bucks. So if you want a cool little dagger to use, thrash around, whatever, hang on your wall, there you go. And it's real Damascus, modern day Damascus steel. Okay, I think that's winding it all up for now. My dog ran out again. But, oh, there's Emma. Hi, Emma. I think Emma's mama is home. Are you gonna start whining? So she's going to be very happy. She knows, she heard the sound of the car, the exact pitch of the exact engine that mama is driving. Right, Emma? Right? Okay, very good. Okay, so I'll be signing off now. Again, J L Zaring. Please like, please subscribe. Please check out that one chopper from Cold Steel. It worked great. And now you know a little bit more about Damascus steel. Take care. Thank you much. Hey, I'm back. And I do that a lot. And I even say that a lot. the doggy had to see mama, so I let the dog in. And I just wanted to come back real quick to say, with what I've been finding with these Posh Land knives, why they are on more of the good side if you get a good one, is because they have full tangs. And I better not drop this on my foot. Oh good, it has a cap on it anyway. Full tangs, okay? And then like the Bowie knives and stuff I showed you earlier, they are peened. Okay, the tang is peened. So full tangs and peened for the most part. I think I have seen some screw-on ones, but they were still full tang. That's pretty cool. Meaning a lot of times you might get no tang from a really cheap maker. And sometimes you just get a rat tail. They call it a rat tail tang, where the tang is as thin as this, like a rat tail, and in the end it has little threads to screw the end on. So instead of a thick tang like this size instead. Not very cool. So when you are looking for your cool off-road hacker or machete or katana or sword, and yes, I will have future videos to show you all of those, you want to look for a strong blade, usually made out of around 1055, 1060 carbon steel. That is not rust proof, but it's nice and strong and flexible. You do want it slightly flexible, otherwise it'll snap. Do not get stainless steel. Stainless steel will snap. So look for something that has carbon in it. Around what I just said, it can go up to all the way to 1090. However, I believe 1090 might not be as flexible as, let's say, 1060. And of course, there are other metals out there that I do not know. I am not a metal expert. I am not a sword expert. I am not a knife expert. I am simply a guy that loves all those things. And so if I am going to buy any of those things, I just learn as much as I can. And I stick it on the video for One Life Live. Now, the one last thing I was going to say is make sure it's a full tang, not a rat tail. If it's peened or screw-on, peened is sometimes a little better, but you know what? Screw-on has its advantages too if you want to change the handles or the cross guard. Just make sure it's a full tang. And then with the handle itself, for that one I showed you, which I'll make a future video, that hacker one by Cold Steel, the handle was a harder plastic. Some places have like leather. It absorbs it a little better. Or you might want to wrap it yourself with something. Okay, I think I am really done now. Future videos coming, of course, of all sorts of things. And of course, more off-road videos and hiking videos and do-it-yourself off-road rig videos and on and on and on. And of course, cool videos of what you are going to pick for your off-road blade. Everyone needs an off-road blade. I mean, they always say zombies one day might come. What are you going to do? Pepper spray, knife, longer blade, sword, machete, gun, all those things, but eventually the guns will run out of bullets, okay? So then you have to melt the guns into swords. I think everyone's watched enough movies and shows, but the bottom line is it's cool to have a blade when you're off-road in case you need to hack things out of the way. And that's about it. Take care. Hope you enjoy. Please like, please subscribe, and have fun. Okay, I'm back for a second or third time. Real quick, one thing I forgot to mention when I was talking about the real Damascus and how it was basically stopped around the 1750s, more or less. And that was that real Damascus was made with Wootz steel. and they don't have that woot steel anymore as far as I know, or they don't use it or know how to use it. I think they just don't have it anymore. And that is the real Damascus. And I know I say that word wrong here and there, but that is the real Damascus with Wootz steel that made certain designs that are very similar to now the modern day Damascus. And I say modern day because people use that term still, and sellers use the term, and knife makers still use that term. They still call it Damascus steel, even though it's not the old school Damascus steel. It's the modern day Damascus steel, in which case I already explained, I use that too much, in which case I will say how I already explained that is billet welding or pattern welding or folded welding, and they forge it all those different ways. People use one of those terms, and as far as I know, they're all similar, and that produces that Damascus look, especially after you etch it, which I already explained and showed you all that. Okay, I forgot totally to mention about Wootz. Now you know. Now you are sort of a Damascus want-to-be expert, knowing that the old school Damascus has Wootz steel, and that is no longer used. And yes, tempering it that way did produce a stronger steel. And even if this is done, the modern day Damascus, if it is done correctly, it will also produce a very strong steel, only if it is done correctly. As there are many layers, you are bending and folding and reforging and then cutting and bending and doing it over and over. And if you leave some layers not correctly forged together, that will delaminate. Those layers will actually delaminate on you, and you will have a useless piece of steel for whatever you're trying to do with a knife or sword or whatever. There you go. Now, as far as I know, oh, one more thing. With this Sony FDR X3000, change the batteries almost every time you use it. That's really my only complaint so far. The batteries kind of die quickly. And I know I haven't given a review, but each time I use it, I say something else. So it's more or less a stretched out marathon bit by pieces review. There you go. Take care. Like, subscribe, enjoy, and now you know about Damascus. Take care.